What's up? What's up, everybody?
John.
Hey, I was just watching you on YouTube performing Stone Temple Pilots. So
Was
sorry.
it good?
That's what
Was
I
it
was just
good?
looking at. Yeah.
I don't know if it was you. It's like
You don't
somebody.
know if it was me. It doesn't. You can't tell that it's me.
Are you in a red shirt?
No, there's nobody in a red shirt on that video. It's like a gray shirt. I think it's a Hurley shirt, actually.
Should I be pulling this up for everybody
Yeah.
to see? I'm just kidding.
You can go YouTube and search it. I think it's one of the top rated Stone Temple Pilots covers. Humbly on on YouTube. There's a couple of them out there. My
And it's
brother and
got
I, he plays
like
guitar.
436 comments and 150,000 views. Dude, you're a star.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah,
You you should have gotten money for that. Like, did you post it with to get the funds off of it?
that was before. So the YouTube started doing that um several years after. This was like early YouTube, like when YouTube first went up. You could tell the video it's like with very early camera uh manifestations of cameras, not very sophisticated camera technology back in those days.
Awesome.
And Becky and Catherine, are you guys having camera issues? Because
Becky's
if
fixing her audio, and there is Catherine.
there is
Hi, I didn't know
Catherine,
if I was going
cool.
to be on camera or not today, so I was told join in the background.
No, you're here.
I'm here.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, this is great. This is really great. So we got a couple new people. I'll let you guys introduce yourselves. First, I'll start with you, Josh. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, who you are, and kind of what's going on? Oh man, this is great. We got a bunch of people.
Got a full
Half
room.
the team is here.
Yeah, thanks, John. My name's Josh Cohagen. Can everybody hear me okay? Okay, good. All right, Josh Cohagen, president of CU Books. We recently merged into the BankSocial ecosystem about, it's been right around 1 month now. CU Books provides back office and bookkeeping services specially designed for credit unions, and got a great staff of folks that are happy to be jumping in and joining the BankSocial team, and just kind of drinking from a fire hose recently, getting up to speed on everything BankSocial has going, where we're going, where we've been, and super excited to be a part of the larger organization.
And we're really excited for it. It's opened up so many more opportunities from the perspective of not just the opportunities for us to have new mutual clients, right, that we can service in all new ways, but even out in the market, the capabilities now coming together to be a full source service provider for credit unions of all sizes with all different types of technology and people resources and really be a staple of the credit union ecosystem and the community banking ecosystem, I think, is fundamentally transformed where both of us we're looking at going before. Both companies were looking at going before. Now coming together really sets a whole new stage. Catherine, go ahead, introduce yourself real quick.
Hi, Catherine Vaca, Director of Sales. I'm really excited about the future as well, same as Josh. I've been absorbing all of the new knowledge and getting up to speed, and we are really excited to make moves in the credit union industry.
Making moves, right? I think the way to say that, Catherine, is already making moves. I mean, we've had just in the past 2 weeks, I think we've had more um contracts than we ever have in the history of the company just in the last 2 weeks with everything that's been going on. It's just been tremendous. And then we've got a very special guest, Mr. Doug Chambers from Lookout CU. What's going on, Doug?
Hey guys. Yeah, I'm Doug. I got to be honest with you. Anytime there's a fillable box that says optional, I do not fill that box. But I'm sort of feeling a little bit behind with everybody else because I can see your names and your titles. I'm Doug from Lookout Credit Union, the CEO around here, and just couldn't be happier to be partners with BankSocial. We've been working together with John and Becky especially, but with the whole team for, a couple of years now, it seems like, and just love what you guys are doing.
Awesome. Yeah, Doug. I mean, we love what you guys are doing. You guys were one of the first. I think we met at Becky's Credit Union about 2 years ago. And shortly after that, you were one of the first credit unions that signed up for our digital wallet. And we've continued looking at new ways to innovate. And we've got some really cool stuff that we're working on right now that's going to fundamentally transform kind of the way that communities can interact, the way that credit unions can be the staple underpinning of these communities, the interoperability of value and money transfer. I mean, it's so cool the types of stuff we're working on together, and I'm really excited and glad that you could be on. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about your credit union and your field of membership, kind of the dynamics of your credit union, real quick?
Yeah, so we were founded in 1952. We are a Idaho State University federal chartered credit union. Over the past couple of decades, we've expanded our field of membership through mergers to take on some local teachers credit unions in our area. But we've stayed true to sort of that education, first responder, civil servant type of. We are a multiple common bond. We are not an open community credit union. We are. You do have to qualify through, serving as in one of those types of capacities. We work with most, school districts and the couple of the universities here in Idaho. We've got some good partnerships, but yeah. So we were Idaho State University Federal Credit Union for 60 years, and then 5 years ago or 4 years ago, because of our expansion and because our field of membership was becoming a little bit more diverse, and people in Boise were not wanting to be part of Idaho State University. They got their own Boise State University, and they got all sorts of kind of things going on. So we changed our name to Lookout Credit Union. Yeah, we got a lot of jokes about lookout and heads up and all that kind of stuff, but that's exactly the type of thing that we're trying to do around here, which is be a lookout for people looking into the future, kind of looking at what's coming for financial institutions, what's happening in the fintech world, what's happening with AI and cryptocurrency and blockchain. We do have our field of membership skews fairly young. Our average member age is 39 years old. I think the industry is in the 55, 56 range. So I think that we are obligated and have a good time trying to stay, if not bleeding edge, certainly cutting edge on the type of technology and the type of programs that we offer at the credit union.
And I think this is probably the most exciting part about working with credit unions is the nimbleness and the leaders like you who really look at impacting the communities that they serve. Unlike a shareholder model or a corporate structure where the real big goal and focus is profit, 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 profit. There's still, of course, the idea that you want something sustainable, you want something that delivers value back to the people who own the institution, which are the members, which are the depositors, which are the value creators. But you're also willing to be kind of that community leader and going out and building that value for them. And some of the stuff we've been working on recently, or been pulling together recently, is certainly right along those values. I think you were one of the first ones we talked with, Doug, about what we saw as a DAO and what we saw as maybe give about the BankSocial DAO, about the BSL DAO. We've talked about some really cool use cases for the DAO, for Lookout, for BankSocial to all come together. Why don't you give, because I think this is a really unique opportunity to have somebody who's TradFi, but not TradFi from the traditional just cut from the cloth banker space, but you've got a guitar behind you, right? Yeah, we were talking about how Stone Temple Pilots was very informative on you. Why don't you give us a little bit of a perspective so that people can understand? We love the concept of marrying TradFi and DeFi, but I think to hear it from somebody who comes from and is the CEO of what would be, somebody would think of as a TradFi institution, will be really helpful, because I think you bring a perspective that shares what we think.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I mean, you did a better, honestly, John, you do a better job of hyping us up than I possibly, could try. But I can talk a little bit about some of the things that we try to do around here. I am an idealist. I believe in credit unions, not in and I don't believe them in the sycophantic lip service way of like, oh, credit unions give better service and rates to their members. I believe that credit unions are community-owned financial cooperatives, and that our role is to build our communities through giving our members access to the types of programs and investments and opportunities that traditional, it's the same thing that we say all the time, is credit unions were built for the underbanked and the unbankable. I mentioned our credit union was established in 1952. It's like one of my favorite stories to tell. 10 professors at Idaho State University each donated $5 to create the credit union for $50, and they used that $50 to help one of their coworkers buy a refrigerator. And so
Wow.
isn't that cool? So
That is fucking cool. Sorry, excuse my language, everybody. Bleep me
if
next
we
time,
can say
Sarah.
fucking cool, then I'm happy to say that. Yes, I will be a little looser if I can say fucking cool and stuff like that, John. I'm happy to join. Anyway, so throughout the last 70 years, credit unions have had a little brother complex and an inferiority complex, which means they want to be like their big brothers, the banks, and so they start looking and acting more and more like banks, and that comes in the form of consolidation and mergers, and expressing how large they are in asset size, how large they are in member size, and it also comes in the form of talking about net income and talking about net worth and talking about those traditional financial and economic instruments that gauge the success of a business. But the credit union movement was not started to be the most profitable business. It was originated to be a community financial cooperative. And so what we've been trying to do at Lookout is get really back to that mission and that concept. And things like the blockchain and the way cryptocurrency work gives a really cool opportunity to bring that back to our membership. A lot of times when we do, I'll give an example that John and I have been talking about lately, John and Becky and I. We got.
Don't give too much alpha, Doug.
I'm not going to give too much out,
They
John.
love it. You make heads explode when you give too much alpha, but just a little bit. You can give a little bit.
All I want to do is bring the concept of credit unions say to our membership, hey, we have a place that you can store your money and we'll keep it safe. And we will pay you a little bit to let us use that money to lend it to your neighbors for buying refrigerators. And because we're going to charge that person who bought the refrigerator a little bit of interest in order to make the transaction worthwhile, we want to share that interest income with you who started this credit union. Yes.
Sounds like DeFi staking is coming, if you ask me.
I know I can't
that's
say
what's
certain words.
going.
I'm not sure what words I'm allowed to say.
Let me fill in the gaps for you. It sounds like, and I know that you're trying to. I appreciate you being reserved in what we talk about here, because certainly some of this is some really novel stuff that we're working on, and some of it, too, is things that we're still discussing and in discussions on. But certainly the fundamental thing you just talked about right there, and I'd love to hear everybody else kind of weigh in on this, because you all have unique perspectives. But certainly the fundamental idea is that credit unions were created by people to help people and to share in the value created when you work together as a community to help each other, right? That's the primary goal and the primary focus of what, and to me, that is actually what DeFi, decentralized finance, these digital communities are working to embrace right now. I mean, that's literally the reason why when Anthony and Nate and I got together together in the early days, we got together. This, Anthony, you were already part of a credit union back then, weren't you, Anthony?
Yeah, I started with the credit union when I was 18, San Diego County Credit Union.
See, and now you're part of CETX as well, right? That was
Yeah,
really cool. I was actually
first one to test the embedded
That's
wallet.
right. But the whole idea here is that with these community groups coming together in DeFi and being able to do this in a way that provides this regulated um, structure, right, that can take advantage of all the traditional rails and all the new rails. You create a financial instrument that people can own and that people can share with each other and create value with each other. It's so exciting. Who else wants to jump in here and share? Not all at once, please. Not all at once. I know you're all waiting on somebody else to jump in. Liz, I'm going to call on you. Liz.
I feel like everyone's heard my speak every week here. But yeah, I mean, this is my first time. I feel like Doug, we've met before, but this is my first time getting to speak with you in this type of a context. And what is happening right now, and I talk about this a lot with my circle of credit union people, is you've got a mix of what was, and we're in the middle of what will be. And in this middle right now, and there's an article written by Ed Speed that I've referenced quite a bit recently. He's a retired CEO out of Texas, he talks about this transition time that we're in with credit unions and financial services. Really, he is an evangelical speaker. He actually studied theology in school, so it's a great article. I can send it to anybody who would like to read it. But what I think is so resonates with me so well, and with someone like Doug so well, is that we've got these giants that we've looked up to for years, and we're moving into this new phase of credit unions, which includes alternative payment solutions that are more accessible than ever before, more affordable than ever before. And I would say maybe 5-10 years ago, it was kind of a lot of organizations not being able to afford the technology that we have at our fingertips now. And so those who are going to survive this are those who are embracing change. We just talked about it earlier. Internally, we had somebody who said they don't like change. They were talking about their internal team. And we were like, man, hopefully they're not one of the ones that's going to go away, because it's going to be moving a lot faster than it ever has before. And then I wanted to go in the chat with everybody, well, why don't they like change? What is it at an organization that doesn't like change? And I have my own theories on that, but I'm really glad I got to meet you, Doug, and get to hear about your speak on it too, and your take on it. And I'm glad that I'm meeting so many more people who are involved in BankSocial, and that feeling of we need to create this more access to our communities of people who want to use payments in this way, that are creating more access for everyone.
Or that wants to use lending and loans and things
Totally.
like the BSL DAO and things like the BSL token and the social lending pool that we've created, and all these new mechanisms that are ways for communities to participate, to share value, and to create value for these communities. I mean, that's what's really exciting, and that's one of the things that we are working on with Doug and Lookout CU, is a novel mechanism for a stablecoin use case that is tied to some lending. The BSL DAO, we're looking to bring into that with the BSL token and the social lending pool and all these kinds of unique things that you couldn't do. You couldn't do these types of things 10 years ago. You couldn't create these types of outcomes 10 years ago. But now with the emergence of, it's all types of new technologies. I don't want to say it's just solely digital ledgers, but they definitely have a real strong underlying foundational part of this. But it's really all these technologies coming together, and all these communities like Lookout and like a lot of the other ones we're working with, who care about access to financial well-being. right? And doing the things like you said, Doug, underbanked people, unbanked people, giving them the access. I was talking to some guys the other day about how, or just yesterday, about how they brought up Sacos. This guy knew about Sacos, and he didn't know he's from America, didn't really know what a credit union was, but once I told him yesterday about what a credit union was, he's been interviewing people around the world, and he goes, that sounds like a Saco. I was like, well, it's exactly like a Saco, because that's what it is. But I think this understanding of, and I'm glad that we're one of the ones leading the charge on this. It's really starting to resonate with people when they understand that they can own their own bank, and these DeFi rails are part of those outcomes, and we can marry the two. Man, it's like groundbreaking. It's really shaking things up in the space, and you see it. I mean, we get hundreds and hundreds of people, thousands of people that show up on these calls, that ask us afterwards. And Lookout is a credit union that you can join right now if you fit the field of membership. You can join Lookout right now, right? And that's what's so cool about this. And then you can own the bank. You own it, right?
Mhm.
That's why rates are cheaper. That's why payment structures are cheaper. That's why, like you said, Doug, that's why you can pool the funds and figure out novel ways to lend those out, and then pass that value created back onto the people who are putting the money into the ecosystem to help their fellow community members. I mean, to me, it's just so crazy. I think the bankers did a good job when they named these things credit unions. They knew what they were doing when they called them credit unions. I think we've got to come up with a new name for these things, but it is what it is right now. Anybody else got any thoughts here on this topic?
I have a. Did anyone have anything? Doug, I have a question for you and John. One of the things that, like, as I'm still a rookie in this space, in the crypto space. One of the things I keep running into is the understanding of the omnibus wallet versus something where it's mine and I own it. It is a huge differentiator for BankSocial, and I'm sure that you have looked into some of our competitors, but I'd like you guys to kind of speak to how that brings more security for those who are with your credit union, and John, maybe that's also like a softball over to you on the security side, but also how individuals and members are more positively impacted by usage of that.
You want to go first, Doug? You want me to go
John,
first?
I'll let you take a crack at that, and then I'll kind of maybe add a couple of
Yep.
things that I feel. Yeah.
Sure. Sure. So, I think when we first talked, Doug, that was really a differentiator, that it behaved like when you have individual accounts, when everybody has their own account, it behaved more like what a financial institution was used to, right? Instead of pooling everybody's money into a big account and then trying to figure out who owns what. And then if one person gets hacked, then everybody's money gets hacked. Financial institutions really operate on that. Your one member, one account. I mean, you can have multiple accounts, but you put your money in your account. It's your account. It's got its own account number, and that's it, right? And so when we looked at it, when we looked at how to build out this future, and I think you see companies like Coinbase even starting to move away from omnibus wallets. I mean, Anthony, Nate, and Justin Hansen, former Secret Service, they worked on a couple cases that involved omnibus wallets at some of these bigger exchanges that are just more prone to these attack vectors. And so, when we look at this, and when we look at the security posturing, and the attack vectors that it brings, the way we've architected the BankSocial ecosystem, staying away from omnibus wallets, staying away from custodial, like true custodial types of solutions, working with Dr. Lehman Baird, Ripple, Algorand, Cardano, all the DREC, all the members of the DREC alliance, and being the first to actually implement decentralized recovery, where credit unions are acting as helper nodes in the recovery process of a person's key, but still maintaining that self sovereignty. I mean, we're doing so many great things that you wouldn't otherwise be able to do if you didn't marry the best of DeFi and the best of TradFi, as far as we see it, being credit unions. And some community banks are operate as, similar to credit unions. But really, those are the main differentiators. And I know that, Doug, when we first were looking at this, I know that those were some of the concerns that we get from credit unions early on, is they don't want the omnibus wallets. They certainly don't want to be custodians holding the keys and having the responsibility of holding the keys, but they also want to be a part of being a helper and being a recovery solution and being a provider and being a connector for all these ecosystems. So I'll kind of lob that back over to you. Maybe you can confirm or deny whatever part of that you want. But
Well, I mean, this is one man's opinion, but I think that you're dead on, John. I mean, it's kind of a marriage of some of the philosophies found in the cryptocurrency world. I mean, extremists and radicals and maximalists are what push this type of technology forward. That's true, throughout history. I remember when I was first buying Bitcoin, I had a USB drive, and it was shady stuff that I had to go through some really weird and topsy turvy things, and I have a safe that had my key phrases and my seed phrases and all. And look, I'm a fairly savvy guy. I'm okay with that, but I also get lost in the weeds and I forget my shit sometimes and I don't know what I'm doing. And so, then as more exchanges became a little bit more mainstream, you mentioned Coinbase, but also there's been the Krakens and uh, crypto.com and Binance, all that kind of stuff. Like, they are susceptible. I mean, those omnibus wallets are great, but then the thing of, not your keys, not your coins, that comes into play. And a lot of people who don't quite understand what they're doing, even though they like the idea of decentralization of their money, and they like the idea of the blockchain confirming, and they like the idea of it being theirs, that they have some sort of like sovereignty or autonomy over their value, over their assets. They also can get, they're exposed to, you know, security breaches and the types of hacks that happen fairly, regularly. What I love about what BankSocial, and John, you mentioned it. This is one of the first things that I remember you and me and Becky, we were sitting there talking about it, and I overreacted because of how giddy I was about the way that you were describing it. But I like the marriage of, BankSocial is giving people this opportunity to kind of stay off traditional exchanges in a pooled wallet with basically having their own wallet, but also there is some client assistance that allows for people, because we all know 1,000 of the horror stories of people leaving 17 Bitcoin on a hard drive, or leaving a bunch of Bitcoin on a thumb drive. I mean, I've lost cryptocurrency because of my own stupidity. So I think that it's the perfect marriage of both sides of the equation that can make it a little bit more palatable and a little bit more mainstream for folks that are used to traditional styles of banking, but can also feel like they are able to dabble in what could be the future of credits and currency in an ever, inflating or devalued U.S. dollar kind of environment.
yeah, I mean, we're starting to see, the portability of value, the immediacy of value trade, right? The things like FX are going away, where you have to go to an intermediary. I mean, you're starting to put these things into smart contracts and on chains where true price discoverability can happen, and you can do that in a custodial way or a self custody way, while having a cooperative backup, many cooperatives back up your keys. I mean, it's really turning out to be a thing of what we consider beauty. And then when you factor in the things that Anthony and Justin and Gervis have been working on for the last couple years with our Secura and our Secure Essentials, our preemptive AIs that are looking at transactions, that are looking at the makeup of these transactions, that are helping after the fact when mistakes are made, or in the worst case when somebody gets scammed out of money. All the connections we've made, now we're part of TRM Labs Beacon Network. We just became a part of that recently. We're part of Chainalysis. We're tied into all the networks of all the exchanges. Fun fact, we've been able to recover as much money as the state of Florida over the last 18 months. I mean, they're one of the only states in the country who's going after cryptocurrency scams, and to be able to make those types of impacts on people's lives, not just by allowing them to participate in this whole new system, but keeping them safe throughout the entire life cycle. We love doing it. Anthony, I know it's a frustrating job sometimes, but it's certainly a rewarding job as well, right?
It is. It's definitely frustrating because you fail a lot more than you succeed, but it's super rewarding to be able to help people. And when we do get the victories, it feels even sweeter because they come few and far between. But yeah, when they do happen, it's a great moment.
John,
It really is. It really
is it okay if I acknowledge and address some of the things in this cool chat over here that are coming from people?
Sure. If you feel like you got
Well,
something
I'm just
there you can knock out, go
for
get it.
instance, I'm loving Gary. I'm loving your comments and quite agreeing with them, and understand the frustration of being an early adopter, and how your understanding of the technology and understanding of the potential for the technology sometimes outpaces the implementation of that technology. I'm similar to you, that I have similar frustrations, that I want to be able to do more than what I currently can do, and it locks me into situations where I'm feeling frustrated. So I just wanted to acknowledge, I don't have really cool answers because I don't work at BankSocial. I don't know, but I do love your comments, because I think that you're the type of person that is pushing this type of technology forward with knowing what it can be. So.
Well, and to Gary's point, he's asking questions about how can he stay off of centralized exchanges. Well, partner with go become a member of one of our credit unions, like a Lookout, because these solutions are available without. I know we're about to do that with your credit union, Doug, but you don't have to use a credit card. You can on the capability to on ramp and off ramp into a self custody wallet directly from your bank account inside the digital banking app. That's where we are right now. I mean, certainly in our standalone app, we have to do things a little bit differently because we're not a bank. We disclose that, but we partner with these credit unions. We partner with these cooperative financial institutions, because by opening up a member account there, by becoming a member account, you now have the opportunity to interact in the way you want. I mean, literally, what you're saying right there is we give you the ability in those solutions to on ramp and off ramp right within the digital banking app. So, we love delivering on these solutions and on these promises. I do have to run, so I'm going to turn it over to the team here for kind of continuing through this. But I'll see you guys very, very soon. All the love and power, and we will. Yeah, let's go ahead, Doug. I think there's a lot more cool questions here that people are going to love to hear from you on. So thanks so much for
Love you,
coming
John.
on. We'll talk
Yeah.
very soon. Yes,
See you
sir.
soon.
We'll jam on
See you
Stone
soon.
Temple Pilots soon. Have John come in and play the cello. I'm starting rumors about John, including that he can play the cello, which maybe he can. We're not sure.
Yeah, he didn't deny it.
He did. He didn't. Yes. I can play the violin, so we can just get a band going here. So back to the topic at hand, though. When we look at Doug, when we look at Lookout, and I'm going to put you on the spot right now because you've got strategic planning session time going on right now. So I'm sure that you're bored and you are starting to really think again about what it looks like in a year from now, 3 years from now. But when you look out, what does the modernization of Lookout Credit Union look like in 2 to 3 years from now?
Yeah, I mean, we're in fact, we're leaving a week from today to go do our strategic planning retreat with our board. And it's interesting because at these things we try to look at 1, 3, 5, and 10 years out. And The 10-year one is almost just like a science fiction convention, because we just try to come up with every possible thing, and a lot of times technology doesn't quite keep up with it, or it kind of veers off into different directions. I mean, the big topics for us are going to be cryptocurrency, blockchain, and AI. I think that those will merge as we kind of get deeper into it. I don't know. One of the things that I always talk about around here is I like the idea of AI being used to free up time and create efficiency for mundane tasks, and for the things that we do on a real regular basis. But I also want the human element to be there for the creativity. Anybody here that's used Monica or Claude or ChatGPT or Gemini, I mean, it becomes, AI right now is just a sycophantic algorithmic learning that just spits back to you what you want it to say. So I think that for us, the next 2 years is really about shedding old programs that are clunky and create bottlenecks. Because the dudes in the chat are talking about it. They don't want to come join my credit union because it's too big of a pain in the ass for them to make a change. They just want the thing that they're using right now to be better, or they want new technology. So for us, the big topic is, how do we utilize new technology to create the safety and security and peace of mind and ease of use that people are seeking. That is our big challenge and our big topic of conversation. So I mean, 2 years from now, we'll look fairly similar to what we do right now. We might have a couple of new and exciting kind of programs that look like micro lending, or look like different types of ways to invest. But ultimately, our 3 and 5 year plan is to look more like a local cooperative that happens to specialize in how people's money moves, how payments work, how investments work.
Awesome. Do you ever listen to Diary of a CEO? It's a DOAC. I'm seeing nods in the chat. So it's a guy who interviews like some brilliant minds. And one of the guys that was on there recently is Roman, and I'm going to butcher his last name, so I'm not even going to try it. But he talks about like what does the world look like in 10 years from now due to AI, and how basically it's not a beautiful picture. But I would encourage you to listen to it, especially ahead of your strategic planning session, or maybe sharing it with your board. But as I was listening to it, so what he talks about is getting to that moment where we can't be smart. We can always learn and learn and learn, but we will never be smarter than AI will become. And part of that can be scary, but then when you look at that human component, and we use team empowered AI as a term here at BankSocial. So I love the direction that you're looking at going within your community, because what you're saying is we're going to create more human components with tech to marry both of them. And I think a lot of the indicators in society that we're seeing, like a lot of studies showing that like young men are struggling with loneliness, and I don't mean to go off on these topics, but it kind of, I think it's going to swing back to the need for that human interaction, because you just can't, and totally someone could refute this, but I don't think that what a human can bring will always be provided by those AIs and those technologies. But just something to listen to ahead of your.
Yeah, would you link that? Would you drop that into the chat for me so that I can? I'd love to. I'm always looking for something cool to read or listen to. I mean, honestly, I feel like I'm talking too much, but
No.
I'll tell you that we've kind of made jokes about John and us getting together for a band. I am a songwriter, and awesome. I've tried to have ChatGPT help me write songs. That includes melody, lyrics, chord progressions, notes, everything. and it spits it out like that. Like you say, I want a song that sounds kind of like David Bowie, and it's about male loneliness, and it's about how I use weed to feel connected to the universe. Like you can give it all those prompts, and you can say I want it to be in 4/4 time. You can say everything you want, and then it'll instantly spit out 3 verses, a bridge, and a chorus that you can follow, paint by numbers. You can follow it exactly. And I've done that a couple of times, and it sounds god awful. It's always just absolutely terrible. It just doesn't sound like it came from a human, because that human connection part can't be found in the machine just yet. And I'm saying just yet because I also am a little bit of a sci-fi guy, and I worry about Skynet. I'm into that kind of stuff. But Ernest Hemingway said that writing is easy. You simply open up a vein and bleed onto the page. And until AI can do that, it can't capture the human experience. And that's true about art, and it's true about music, and it's true about it's true about customer service. It's true about how to interact when someone has a moment of truth where they're confused about how their mortgage works, or they feel like they couldn't access their wallet, or they feel like they're not getting a response from the helpline. That human element matters to humans, and it is not so far replicable by AI. AI can make videos that look like Donald Trump, but it's not Donald Trump talking. These are like the things that keep me up at night. These are the things that make me very concerned about the future.
Yeah.
Liz,
Yeah,
I'm sorry. It's funny, you both are hitting on such broad topics, but they're so poignant. But you think about putting it back into the credit union world. The use of the AI helps eliminate a lot of that subjectivity in the day-to-day parts. When you're sitting there trying to decide, is this something, and you go down that rabbit hole and you become so confused on a process, and this eliminates that. But you hit it on the head. When it comes to the emotional intelligence that a person can put into play, you're talking to that senior who's had account takeover. You can't have an AI option in place. But having that person who's eliminating all that mundane stuff out of their job, it gives them that ability to grow, that beautiful communication tactic to be able to sit down and have it and focus on an activity that is going to bring you a much more higher resolution to a problem.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more.
Absolutely. I thought about, I was thinking as you were talking about like your song that you wanted to write. I don't know if those were the prompts that you actually plugged in.
Oh, I just made that up as I was going, because you had said male loneliness, and I was thinking, yeah.
And you were thinking about pot. That's what I picked up.
This is what I look like, so yes.
So I don't know. Do you know Linda Bodie?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so Linda, had these shirts. So John said earlier, you own the joint. Linda's credit union, this tiny little credit union in West Virginia, is such an amazing human being in so many ways. There's so many things, just go Google her. But she had these shirts made and they said, you own the joint. And so I'll wear it next week. I still have it. And because they were one of the first credit unions to be able to, I think it was have accounts for those businesses that couldn't have accounts before and still are struggling right now. We're all over the place today. I not your typical John leaves and we're all over.
Free for all.
Well, I also don't want to take up all the time. Does Anthony, I know that I saw a chat come through. Did you guys get that addressed on the client service?
Yeah, I think Sarah addressed it. It was for Jack. So Jack, you could just open the BankSocial app and come through live support. I think that's the one you were talking about.
Awesome. Yep, that is it. Team, do you have any? Do we inspire you? Doug and I inspiring people.
I'm looking through this chat.
So if there's any credit unions on right now, which I would assume that there are, we've got quite a few people on right now. Doug, when you roll out yours, and as you look at rolling this out with a more integrated, more integration with credit unions. We've got a lot of credit unions who are kind of like, it's like we said, alluded to earlier, that change is difficult. What would be the first step that you would tell them to take in trying to get into this space to offer it more of the community?
Wow. Well, I guess the first step is toward kind of understanding why we're doing this and why they would want to. I think that leading with, is there a way for us to stay relevant and make money off of our members, is probably a fool's errand. I think that to dive deeper and do a little bit of reading and kind of understand, the why and then the what and then the how is probably a good path to take, and that doesn't have to be all that scary. I know there's a lot of scary actors out there that aren't really familiar with, nor do they love the concept of Bitcoin, of cryptocurrency. I think about Senator Warren is a good example. I don't think that she loves the idea of a completely deregulated currency, but I think a lot of that comes from misunderstanding. And someone mentioned, I think Liz, you mentioned like fear of change. We're in a world that's pretty interesting and has kind of some like fascinating turmoil that's going on right now, and we cling to traditional, boring institutions and philosophies in order to sort of keep us safe. And something that's like this, that seems like a disruptor, could feel unsafe. But I think that that's just a question of education and learning, and realizing that it's not meant to be an upheaval of someone's entire career or someone's comfort zone. It's meant to just be part of evolution. I mean, we've all gone through checks being sort of more and more irrelevant. We've gone through, geez, I mean, I remember debit cards being a little bit suspect and being a little bit of a weird way for payments to evolve. Payments are going to evolve the same way that humans and technology are going to evolve, and it's just about having a little bit of curiosity and having a little bit of maybe foresight, or maybe I don't know, maybe even trepidation of just saying, okay, well, let me see if I can learn all sides of this. And that's where I don't know if I answered your question very well, Liz, but I think the starting place would be, why does this exist, and who's out there looking for it, and what the hell is it? What does it do?
Yeah. No, and that can you use, one of the things that like is thinking about is what I see with some credit unions is they use compliance as a blocker or as a reason for not change. But the credit unions or financial institutions or in any business really, how do you use that as an innovation pivot point for your organization versus it being a blocker? And we'll get to that when others have done it, that bleeding edge kind of mentality. We'll get to that when it's more safe, when others have done it. I think the more safe, especially now, is more safe is you need to educate yourself, credit unions, financial institutions, on that it's actually much more safe. So that's at least what I've seen or I've experienced in sitting in board planning sessions or whatever it might be.
Yeah. And it's time. I mean, the regulators, you think about regulators, NCUA was in here a couple of weeks ago, and this is the NCUA. I talked to them about some of the stuff that we're looking forward to and that we're kind of trying to do, and they, that you can tell that they kind of clench up a little bit, and it challenges their worldview of generally accepted accounting principles. It challenges their there's not an opinion paper issued by the NCUA against the regulations to help guide them, and so it's scary. It is scary. Of course it's scary. I don't want to lose my job because the NCUA is like, oh, you're an outlaw, but it's just people just got to educate themselves.
Yeah. So this is have you watched an AMA before? One of our AMAs?
No, I didn't really know what to expect from this thing. I was a little I was quite nervous coming on here.
So, well, you've done awesome. Isn't it, as a credit union person, isn't it so unreal to see this community? I mean, interacting with the chats and the number of people that will go off and this will stay out in the world, and more people will watch this and we'll get engagement with them as well. And Anthony and Nate, as the community knows, are getting those questions all the time, or innovative ideas from our community. And when I, have these sales calls and try to talk to them about the community, I don't know if I'm doing a great job or I'm explaining it as well as I can, but I am so excited.
You do a great job, Liz.
Thanks, guys. That's what I needed.
Yeah.
But so I know we have 7 minutes before we have more time to talk through some things, but I do not want to, there's a couple things that the team did want to address. Nate or Anthony, can you take that?
Yeah,
I was
I was
go
going
ahead,
to
Nate.
address one thing quick and actually ask you, Doug. So one underrated aspect of crypto, blockchain, DLT, the entire space, is that it's genuinely fun. It opens up a whole new world of possibilities, and members have fun with it, and communities have fun with it, and we have fun with it. And I think that once you're in it, you see all the whole new possibilities, and you kind of forget what life was like before you jumped into crypto. So what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think there's a ton of cool ways for it to turn something that is traditionally thought of as boring and just needs to work when I need it to work into something that can almost be, I hate using this term, but I'm going to, gamified. So the things that take off are things that create a little bit of a reward system in people. And you look at you look at anything from online shopping to games on your phone to the things that are Chime as an example. I don't like talking about Chime, but I will. I mean, just little things that are shiny and make fun little noises and have a cute little thing that makes the user interactive, makes it a sticky product, and it makes a thing that people like to use. And I think that where there are limitations in the traditional credit union and banking world of like, okay, here's your online and mobile banking, and here's how we can do a loan for you, and here's how we can let you see your accounts, and here's how you maybe could do some trades or some investments, that is fairly static. There's not something that's too dynamic about it. And I think that in the crypto world, especially when implementing future leaning technologies, you can make planning for your future and investing something that is gamified a little bit, and it's something that provides a steady, consistent reward system to someone, rather than one of my favorite things in the world is one of my best friends works at Disney. That's as much information as I'm going to give you. But he works for Disney, and on Disney's internal retirement account planning page, you go in and you look at your dashboard and you look at your accounts, and he always laughs because there's a car that shows your progress towards retirement. And he and I are always laughing about it because all that car is doing is moving one fraction, it's 1 month out of a person's life until death. It's just moving every time they pull up that account. Well, there's nothing exciting or sexy or fun about motivating someone to take their future into their own hands, take the concept that they might be able to make their money work a little bit better for them than traditional methods. There is a lot of cool things that can happen in this world. And believe me, after all the things I've said, I am fairly fiscally conservative when it comes to my and my credit union members' money. However, I do think that it's something that the power can be given back to the people rather than institutions to help facilitate generational wealth transfers and preparing for significant changes in the way the world views things like universal basic income, or we do a 32-hour work week over here. People get paid for 40. Like, there are things that are going to change in this world, and I think that we can help people have a little bit more of a reward type system that makes them feel like they are in charge of and responsible for their financial well-being.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you see me just like bumping out of my seat? I'm like, yes, that's right. It is like hard to say. When I talk to my friends, literally they'll fall asleep as I'm trying to talk about financial stuff, right? And when I talk about where we're at right now, with things, it's not just that it's new that makes it sexy. It's sexy because it's sustainable. And I don't think we've seen such a sustainable model since credit unions came along. And so that's what gets me excited. And generational wealth is a heck yes. I always think about the quote from Warren Buffett that says, someone is sitting in shade today because someone's planted a tree long ago. And that is where credit unions have been able to be sustainable, because they will their funds to the future. And that's what we're seeing in these markets also with the community. So yeah, heck yeah, Doug. I'm motivated by that. Anthony and Nate, I know that you had another point to touch on.
Yeah, I'll touch on this. Not as sexy and fun as what Doug's talking about, but for anyone, I saw a few people comment on it. For anyone that is seeing a zero balance in the BankSocial app when it comes to the BSL token, so the pair is still down on CoinMarketCap. Myself and multiple people on the team, Nate, started communication with them immediately. So we've been in active communication with CoinMarketCap. And we're continuing to push them and resolve it as quickly as possible. So our app pulls pricing from CoinMarketCap. So if there's issues with CoinMarketCap, it's going to cause issues with the display issues in our app. So what they've told us is that there's a DEX screener migration, and I quote that. And that is the reason that there's a delay. So, we'll keep pressing them for updates and let you know when that's fixed. In the meantime, you can go to Gecko Terminal and you can get live price data from there.
Thank you. So again, not as exciting, but we knew we needed to touch on it. We've got 1 minute left. Doug, what do you want to leave our community with that they need to know about what they're looking for in their credit unions and financial institutions that is going to bring, like, if I'm going to go join a credit union, what do I need to be looking for? Besides coming to your credit union in particular, what are the big things my big rocks that I want to have?
That's a huge question, and
sorry, throwing those at you today.
I think there's a lot of cool answers to it, but my personal answer to it is, does the credit union reflect your value system and uphold the same ideals that you hold dear? And that I know that sounds maybe like a first class smarty pants kind of answer, but it's not. There's a chat in here. Credit unions don't do a great job of helping the world understand that it is community owned, because credit unions shoot themselves in the foot by trying to look exactly like banks. I can go every quarter and listen in to the earnings call of all of the big banks and all of the regional banks around me, and I can do a dollar for dollar understanding of who owns stock in that bank, who are their primary shareholders, and how much money are they making, what's the value of their participation with that bank. Credit unions do not provide that type of value in any way, shape, or form, because every single member, whether they're $250,000 on deposit with us, or $250 on deposit with us, or if they're in the whole $250, for God's sake, everyone has the same ownership stake. And that is a scary concept to some people, because they don't understand how it best benefits them unless it's put into the context of how that kind of ownership structure best benefits their communities. Mm-hmm. And it benefits their communities through beautification efforts and volunteer efforts and keeping the money local and being able to contact. Right before we got on this call, I was on a phone call with one of our members who was trying to decide what he wanted to do and what the future looked like in the mortgage rate industry, because he's trying to figure out if he wants to do a cash out refi, if he wants to do a home equity line of credit, if he wants to just kind of sit on it and wait to see what happens with job and unemployment numbers. And he's talking to me, who is a real human being and the CEO of the credit union, that's like, hey, bro, let's talk about some of the options that you've got here. And it's not my role to tell you what you should do, but I can certainly tell you what we can help you with and what each one of those paths would do for you. That's what a credit union was built to be, and that's what credit unions are. And yes, it takes a little bit of like, okay, it's a little bit more work and it's a little bit more human touch. But if you're looking at credit unions and banks that only want to say, look how big we are, look how much money we made, look how much revenue we generated, and they're not saying, look how much we reinvested that into our communities, and look how we made this a better place for you and for your kids and for your coworkers and for the people that you love, then what the fuck are they doing? What are they? Why do they exist if they only exist to play little brother trying to live up to the big brother banks? That's my answer to that question.
I love that. We are in our own chat are like, we need Doug. We need more Doug. So thank you so much for joining us. Are there any pieces before we go that we need to get through? Okay.
No.
Well, Doug, thank you so much. I know the community is very thankful to have you here. We are very thankful to have you here. And team, thank you. All right. We'll talk to you guys later.
Love y'all. Thanks
Bye.
for having me.
Bye,
This was
everyone.
awesome. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Doug.